That room is totally cleaned out and half of the walls has been scraped and swept. And the only two things in there are 2 desks, and we have a piano. We're going to be posting those. Those are going to be free, or if you know anybody that we could donate them to, let us know. David and Bob Arrington are going to be going through all the stuff that is sitting out in the hall to see what we might want to recycle and what we might not want to recycle. And they're going to store it somewhere away if it's something we want to keep, so people can't rummage through it and do things like that. And so they might ask our help as they start going through it. We might have another work day. But we sweated, and I probably have crackling, spackling in my hair and whatever all over my arms, but I did try to just go wash up a little. I did bring a dress and makeup, but there was no point in me putting on a clean dress because I was filthy. So, Katie, I can't thank you enough for your dedication to everything that you do for the Rotary and for the Rotary Post Office Foundation. But that room is clean, Gloria. Okay, so excuse my appearance. That's why I did not change into.
And mine too.
And Katie's. That's why I did not change, okay?
There's not a dress code for the president.
Not a dress code? Well, I'm on TV, so I'm just trying to tell y'all why I look like this. It wasn't because we've been working out all day. Okay, Pam, are you ready for Happy Bucks? Come on.
I am. So who's happy today?
Who's
Do you have
happy?
a microphone?
Oh, I don't have a microphone. Oh, there you go. Yep, it's on.
You're on. All right, so the first one I know we've got is from Kim Quimby. Did you have anything you wanted to say you were happy about today?
I'm happy to check in to Facebook at Rotary.
Yeah.
Woo! All right, anybody else happy?
Come on, y'all, get those dollars out.
Why don't you tell them what the
Oh, this is a 5.
Oh yeah, tell them what it's for. Tell them what Happy Bucks is.
Go ahead, Bob.
Oh, well, I'm happy that we had a bunch of club soda and tonic water that you rookies couldn't finish drinking at the last thing and donated to the American Legion. I'd like to thank you on behalf of the American Legion.
Our Happy Bucks for July and August is for our new satellite club, so we can offer them a little seed money to get started. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that.
I was gonna say, I've got $20 because it's going to the new club. Do you want me to tell everybody why I'm happy now, or do you want me to wait?
Go ahead.
So we held our very first meeting of the satellite club to end human trafficking in Hunt County last night. And as of last night, we had probably 25 in the room. Some of those had already turned in applications. Some of them were just coming in here. But as of last night, we have 16 new members of the satellite club.
That's great. Anybody else happy?
Well, y'all make
Come on,
sure you
there's
bring
some
your
happy
dollars
people.
and your 5s and your 10s next week, and let's help seed this satellite club.
I see some happy people.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, anybody else?
Since James didn't speak, oh, back there, Bob again. Since James didn't speak, I just want y'all to know, I found him and his wife's cookie bowl back in that room from probably, 4 or 5 dessert chili fests ago, so he should be happy he got a bowl back.
Well, congratulations on getting all the people for the new club. I was gonna share, and I shared with Kami a while ago, I was gonna share it with the board, but we were running tight on time. I have a friend that her niece was part of a group. She had a boyfriend that was abusing her and sharing her with other people, and so she decides she wants to come home. So parents go to pick her up. The mom's boyfriend gets beat up. It took 4 hours for law enforcement to show up after he got to the emergency room. So our satellite club can help solve some of that, so please be a part of that.
Thank you so much for
So
that.
happy. That was a sad.
Yeah, I know, it's
But
very
it's
difficult.
for a happy time.
It's very difficult. And we got some happy bucks from this back table over here. I got hunted down and thrown them in the bucket. I'm always happy to see more money.
Paul's just throwing more money in, he's just for the satellite club, what a great.
All right, anybody else?
I threw more money in because Gloria left me alone at the office and the cash register was voted.
Of course, it all.
have their tickets for Deck of Destiny. Does anybody need more tickets? Okay, great.
Better put that winning ticket back in there.
All right, I know we've got a guest back here. I'm gonna run on back here and get it.
You are going to be drawn into this.
So if you will just reach over without looking and grab a ticket. Grab the winning ticket for sure. Okay, so it's gonna be 8, 2, 2.
All right.
7,
Yeah.
6,
Oh.
4.
7, 6, 4.
All right, who's got the 764?
It must be rich.
Must be rich. He's digging for his tickets. He don't even know where he put them.
What's the number again?
764.
That is me.
All right. See, Rich, I told you you were buying the winning tickets.
I know it, I didn't believe it.
How many other people did you say that to?
Everyone. Okay.
I'm a very good card player, so.
You want me to shuffle it for you?
You put that ace on top of it.
I already pointed out your winning ticket, so.
Okay.
You're supposed to show me the bottom.
That's not it.
Probably not. Darn, not even close.
Tear it in half.
Oh.
Green diamond.
Hey! Some of us are happy whenever people don't win, because that just grows the pot, you guys, that just grows the pot. Thank you, Pam. Pam was substituting for Tammy. Tammy is on another vacation. Yeah, please silence your phones. We're fixing to have our program. Check in on social media. I want to inform you, we have potentially 3 new members in our new Rotary Club, and with Katie's 16 in the new Satellite Club, we already have 19. So if we can do that every month, you guys, we can fill this room.
Wait.
We can fill this room. Geez, the board meeting, I said, well, that's our goal for the year, I'm done. Okay, just a joke. No, we really do want to grow the club, and I want to thank you all for bringing in guests. This is membership month, so invite a friend, invite an older Rotarian just to come back, see if they want to come back and join us for lunch. So August is membership month, and so let's go for it. We are also found this cute little box. The tape I found was old too, so it wasn't too sticky. We're doing a kickoff campaign. So y'all don't forget to bring your other change or your checks or your cash or whatever. This is for the Post Office Foundation, because you guys go to that front room. It is clean. I want everybody to look at it. Tammy and Al are going to send their crew in, and they're literally going to finish scraping the wall and painting that room for us. And hopefully that will be done in a couple of weeks. So if you haven't went and looked at the front storage junk room, it is no longer going to be a storage and junk room. So we're really proud of that moving forward. Thank you, Katie and David, for helping clean that up. I think, have I left anything out? I don't think I have, and I'm sorry. I'm very tired, and my brain is not really here because I've been here since about 7:45. So, Dwayne, come on up and introduce. Oh, wait. Oh, I'm so sorry. Larry James, David Ellis. Come on. Well, when you're a new president, you always don't understand how the board works, especially your executive board. I failed to get David your badge because you weren't here at the banquet. No, you were here at the banquet. But I failed to get your badge.
He was singing.
So my problem, there is your badge.
Okay.
That one I got it wet.
She is rusty.
It rusted like that and could be thrown away. Well, and don't get that one wet because,
No.
never mind, don't ask. Every time you get on to order badges and you're gone for a minute or two, it times you out, and I had to start reordering it all over. And whatever got stuck in there, he had on there some kind of subcommittee. So, congratulations, you officially got your executive
Thank you, dear.
badge. And
Again.
Congratulations, past president. No, did you order that? Yeah. Okay, no,
All right.
Here, Dwayne, Dwayne, I'm sorry, you've officially been badged and pinned.
Oh,
Thank
awesome,
you. Program chair,
awesome.
Dwayne Golden.
Thank you, guys. Have y'all enjoyed the programs we've had so far? Yes. Great. Keep that up. Today we have a privilege to have the general manager of GEUS with us today to give an electrifying talk about current events. Alicia Hooks is with us. Alicia, welcome to the Rotary Club today.
I don't have to be up here. This works much better. Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor to be here to talk with the Rotary Club. Always excited for an opportunity to talk about GEUS and what's going on. We've been super busy even after the winter storm. We have a lot of projects going on, and what I think are electrifying things. We'll see if you agree.
Hold the mic out a little closer to your mouth, please.
Right here.
There you go.
All right, I'd like to start with our mission, and that is to maintain competitive rates, increase system reliability, and improve services. And I was just talking with a couple of your members earlier that have a long history with GEUS and a long history here in Greenville, Mr. Chitwood and Mr. Adams. Both have served in different capacities that led us to where we are today at the utility. And they were recalling some of the days before when we weren't very reliable and our rates weren't very competitive. But there's been a lot of work over the last 30 years to improve the system and make sure that we're in a mode of continuous improvement. So just a little history quickly for those of you who are not that familiar with GEUS. Greenville established the first municipal electric utility in Texas in 1891. And it was really a lack of service to the community that drove that. And that was the same driving factor that led to GEUS starting its own cable and internet service that's offered still today. And there we talk about it. 2001 is when we launched cable and internet, and we were also one of the first utilities in Texas to install new Wartzilla Quick Start engines. These replaced some of the older generation, and we operate those units almost daily at our power plant. And for those of you who don't know, GEUS's service territory extends past the city limits. You can see there the orange outline is the edge of our service territory. The city limits is in the aqua color there. So we actually provide service within that boundary out into Hunt County. So let's talk about what's going on today. I like to talk about our power portfolio. That's changed over the last few years. We had a long-term relationship with a few other municipal utilities and had joint ownership of a coal plant down in Grimes County, Texas. That unit has recently retired, and we have replaced that with wind and solar energy in our portfolio.
What is the PPA?
PPA is a power purchase agreement, and we issue those in varying lengths. We do short-term and long-term power purchase agreements, and that essentially supplements our portfolio. If for any reason we can't operate our units or there's issue with our wind and solar output, then that gives us firm power that really acts as really the best replacement for that coal, which is baseload generation. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's available. Looking at customer growth on our system, this is actually number of meters, not number of people. So over the last 5 years, we've seen 6% growth. I expect that to jump significantly when we look at 2021 because between the residential homes that are being built and businesses that have opened here in Greenville, I expect that number to jump significantly for 2021. And this is just a snapshot of our cable and internet. For many years after we launched the system, we had more cable subscribers than internet subscribers. Internet wasn't in huge demand when we launched the system in 2001. You can see that over time that trend reversed and we now serve more internet customers than cable customers on our system. The cable decline is nationwide. I'm sure you're all aware people are moving to streaming and moving away from traditional cable. As prices go up on streaming services, it's really a toss-up on what people will do going forward, but we are still in the cable business today. So I just want to talk about a few of our projects. On our cable and internet system, we've really focused on the internet system for the last few years. We upgraded our system to increase our speeds really exponentially. I think our highest package was 100 megabits per second, and we now offer up to 400, and very shortly we'll be offering a 750 megabit per second package. We treat our cable and internet just like electric. We have the same reliability goals and standards for that as we do for our electric business. So if you're not on GEUS Internet and you live in the city limits, come see us. We'd love to offer some reliable internet for you and super fast. We've been working on substation upgrades for the last couple of years. We have big infrastructure on our system that has very long life. We replaced a transformer in our LTV substation that was 54 years old, and that is out next to L3 in that area that's growing. We also now are working on Terrell Road substation, which is directly across from the high school. That substation is around 50 years old, or substation transformer is around 50 years old. So we're just continuing to work on those big projects and make sure that those are ready to serve all the growth in the community and the existing citizens that are on the system. COVID-19 protocols, like many of you, for the first time ever, we wrestled with how do we manage COVID-19 at an electric utility and a cable and internet business. Our cable and internet techs go in people's homes every day to install new service or to fix problems, and we've had to work through how do we do that safely for our employees and for the people's homes that our techs are entering. So if you see them out, or you call them out to your home, they're going to have a mask, they're going to have gloves, they're going to have shoe covers. When they go to their truck, they're going to hose down with alcohol-based sanitizer. We have staggered their work crews. Also on the electric side, our linemen, we're trying to keep them separated where we've got no crews intermingling. We don't want to be in a situation where we can't be there when we're needed for system issues. So visitors to the building are screened before they enter. We have fairly strict protocols in place, but it's served us well. And I would knock on wood if there's any around here. It makes me nervous to say these things, but you know, we have had employees that have been impacted by COVID-19, seen an uptick in the last week. I'm sure Sure Rich is working through that too.
Ooh, baby, I'm telling you.
But,
If you want a vaccine, you're in trouble.
it had been months since we had had a report, and then this week I had 4, in rapid succession. Either someone who had tested positive or someone who had been directly exposed to someone who had tested positive. Anyways, we worked through that process, and so far it has worked. I mean, we have not had a department shut down. We've been able to continue to serve the needs of the community. So our next challenge, of course, was winter storm, and I'll talk just briefly about that later. So we added a third 138 kV tie to the system a couple of years ago. That was huge. We had had two connections for many years to the outside world, and that connects us to the greater ERCOT grid and allows power to flow into the community that's not produced locally. So when we only had 2 feeds, we didn't sleep well when one of those was down for maintenance. Now when they take one out, we have 2 additional feeds, so it just makes service to the community more reliable. Cyber and physical security, I can't say enough about cyber. I could probably do an entire series on it, but there's a target on electric utilities as part of critical infrastructure. Our servers block malicious emails and hacking attempts. We have more of those than we do legitimate emails. And I mean, it's a ratio of about 94% of malicious versus legitimate.
Wow.
And some of those still sneak through, you know, and so we do a lot of intense cybersecurity training, and even our board members have to go through that because they have a GEUS email address. It's an ongoing onslaught, and we just continue to update our protocols. You know, we moved to Microsoft 365 because they had better security than what we could do locally. It changes so fast. And we also keep our industrial control systems isolated from the outside world. So, you know, when you hear about, you know, situations such as the pipeline situation where ransomware locked down the operations, the controls on that pipeline, our control systems are completely isolated from the outside world. And that means the USB ports are disabled. They're behind key card doors, so you have to have security access to get in the room where they're located. We've taken every measure possible to protect those critical core systems that keep our system operating day in, day out. Physical security, like I said, we use key cards a lot. A lot of areas are protected, and when you walk up to a door, if you come out to the operations center and you can't get through the front door, and that frustrates some people, especially if they visited the utility before and they come back, and why can't I get in? This is a public building. Well, the problem is that what's behind that door is critical infrastructure, and so we're taking all the precautions that we can to protect that. We're working on launching smart metering and a new smart pay system. So smart metering is, if you've heard of AMI meters, those are smart meters that talk directly to the utility and provide 15-minute interval data to the home or from the home to the utility. So it's really taken that traditional meter reader that went around to each home once a month and turning that into a 15-minute interval data stream to the utility. That's going to help us work smarter. That's going to help us work more efficiently, and it's also going to help us offer more information and flexibility to our customers, including more flexible rates, more information about how you use electricity, and also future opportunities to participate in new programs that help the grid be more reliable. And so you'll be seeing information on that more and more. We're getting ready to actually go out and do the meter change outs, and you'll have people in your neighborhood that are wearing GEUS vests, I believe. You'll have door tags that let you know when your meter will be changed out. And so our new smart pay system, we've had a prepay program for a long time. It's something that I think is wonderful for the Greenville community. It allows customers to avoid paying a high deposit, and it also allows them the flexibility to pay for their electricity as they can. So if they have $10, they can load that $10 on their system and use that electricity till that $10 runs out. It's a hugely beneficial program for our low-income citizens. And just people who want to manage their electricity in a different way. But the big key is we have a lot of rental properties here in Greenville, and even a move from one home to another can trigger a deposit based on a customer's pay history, based on their credit. And this allows them an opportunity to have access to electricity at a much lower cost and in a way that they can manage it. So with the new system, they'll be able to actually load money onto their account through an app on their phone at multiple locations around the city. In fact, any Fidelity Express location or our customer service. And so it will be a much more flexible system for our prepaid customers. And we currently have close to 10% of our customers on prepay. We had to freeze the program because the equipment for that program is now obsolete, and we had to maintain the customers that were already on the program. So we had to freeze it, and we've seen those numbers decline a little bit, but it was growing before we had to freeze the program. So I'm really looking forward to having that flexibility. Okay, Roundup. If you haven't heard about the Roundup program, it's a simple program, very easy. If you contact customer service or go to our website, you can sign up for that. Just round your utility bill up to the next dollar, just like a lot of the stores you go to ask you to round up your purchase. And this money goes to help low-income customers on the system that are struggling with their utility bills. And that brings me to, and we partner with Fish for distribution of that. And that, the Roundup and our low-income assistance program is all managed through a voucher system. So money never changes hands. The customer's given a voucher and a credit's applied to their account. And that has worked very well and has really helped a lot of people that were having a hard time. I want to talk about a little bit about uncertainty in the electric industry. Winter Storm Uri was an epic event for Texas. Unfortunately, people lost their lives in some areas, and people that didn't lose their lives suffered greatly in a lot of areas. I know it wasn't pleasant here in our footprint, but we were able to not rotate a single customer off for more than 1 hour through that entire event. And I can tell you that GEUS employees, we had people sleeping in the offices, that we had people who didn't want to go home because they wanted to be there to make sure that everyone was safe and that power was back on as quickly as possible. The results of that have been extraordinary costs across the state for, right now for electric utilities, but that cost will ultimately roll down to every utility customer in Texas. It's just the way it is. There's legislation now that's going to spread that cost out, or attempting to spread that cost out over 30 years. That would be a rider or an adder on some bills throughout the state. We're looking at options for opting out of that here because we paid our bill We were able to generate electricity through that event that helped offset our cost. And we did have to issue short-term debt to pay our ERCOT bill. I mean, we didn't have $20 million sitting around to pay our ERCOT bill. And so, even though we had reserves, a lot of those reserves were in longer-term investments or needed to continue to manage ongoing operations of the electric system. And, well, cable and internet separate, but mainly the electric system.
Alicia?
But, yes.
I'm gonna say this, but ERCOT seems like a racket to me. Why do we even have to participate in ERCOT?
Right, so, right now, I don't have a lot of nice things to say about ERCOT. They're changing the rules every day. It's been crazy, but the reason why we're connected to ERCOT is essentially every electric utility that is in that footprint is interconnected through a grid. And ERCOT is the operator of that grid. If we weren't interconnected, we would have our local generation. If we had an issue that took out the plant, it would take out the entire city. Or if we didn't overbuild for peak. Because the difference in the electricity that's needed on an average day versus the electricity that's needed at the peak of summer on that hottest day when everybody's using big appliances, you know, our peak is extraordinary in comparison, almost double of an average day. So we would have to build enough generation to cover that peak. And the cost of it would be extraordinary. And so it's really not cost effective to have the electricity managed by one local provider. We're just on such a large scale now, and it's so complex that, you know, if we had to roll outages on a regular basis, our commercial customers, our hospital, our city water treatment plant, it just doesn't work. So back in the days, the early days of interconnection, we were interconnected to Greenville was interconnected to Garland, Denton, and Brazos Electric. And that was the first local grid here. And we operated the same way then. We shared generation resources. We staggered outages of units. We had multiple transmission ties, so if we had a problem here, we could pull energy from another community. And that just expanded over time and was replicated through different communities. And ultimately, that all came together as one extremely large, complex grid. And like I said, ERCOT was formed to manage that grid, and that's what they do. That's their job, is to make sure that energy gets from point A to point B. ERCOT, they've revamped their website. There's a lot of information there. If you want to learn more about that, they're kind of in a state of upheaval now. They're being completely restructured. The Public Utilities Commission is being completely restructured as a result of the winter storm. And we tracked 385 legislative bills this session that had some potential impact on GEUS and Greenville. Of those, now we're dealing with about 24, and some of those have multiple ramifications, but there's a lot in the news, and what I would encourage you to do is always look for the angle, because a lot of them are written by different segments of the industry that want to promote one thing over another, either one technology or one company over another. So we are working through a lot of proposed regulations right now. I keep saying the storm's not over for us, because we've got a lot on our plate to work through and try to understand and try to minimize the impact on the citizens here in the community. Our utility did exceptionally well, comparatively. You know, we were able to run generation. Our units were weatherized. We did have natural gas constraints. It wasn't due to Winter Storm Uri, it was due to freezing temperatures, because of where we are in the priority list for our gas supplier, which is Atmos. Atmos is structured to serve residential and small commercial first. And natural gas plants are literally, we're at the bottom of the list in order of priority. Normally a winter event doesn't lead to such severe impacts on generation like it did this time. It was extraordinary in many ways. Of course, south, they got the ice and lost transmission and distribution systems, so they had poles and wires down on the ground. We didn't have that here, so we were blessed in that way. But I don't know where it'll end up. That's the uncertainty we're facing. But what we do is stay informed and we speak up when we have an opportunity. The recent PUC recently issued a draft rule on weatherization for generating units, and there were some things in that we didn't agree with. We utilized industry best practices, and our units were operable through the event. So ERCOT's proposal was just to completely ignore industry best standards, best practices, and create a weather study where you have to certify that you can meet a certain percentile. I mean, just a completely new, out of the blue proposal, and no cost analysis, no basis. So those are the kind of things that we're working through now. And you know, a lot of times the onus is on us to do the analysis and say, this sounds like a great idea, but if you implement this is going to be the cost to ratepayers. And our bottom line is to protect the cost for the customers of this community, for the citizens of this community and surrounding area that we serve. I'll talk real quick about renewable penetration. I know I'm almost out of time, and I was going to leave a little bit of time at the end in case there were questions. Of course, if you have a question along the way too, just let me know. But renewables have really changed the reliability of the ERCOT grid. You know, there's a lot of stories out there that says it wasn't renewables that caused the problem. Well, there's an ongoing issue with reliability in ERCOT because of renewable generation. It's intermittent, it's not controllable. You can't start it, stop it, ramp it up, ramp it down. And the problem with electricity we have today is the same problem they had in 1891. And that is there's no viable means of storing electricity for any length of time. You can store it for short durations and not wide scale. There are some places where you can pump water up a hill, hold it in a storage area, pump it back down when you need it. But there's most areas of the country are not suitable for that. And absent long-term storage, you have to produce electricity as it's used. So there's literally microsecond delay between the time you flip that switch and what has to supply that. So without viable large-scale storage, wind and solar actually destabilize the grid. And I'm not just saying that because we have local generation that's not. We have natural gas powered generation. But that is the reality of where we are. Unfortunately, the price of wind and solar has been so cheap, and it's been pushed into our state at such a level that a lot of your traditional controllable and dispatchable generation has retired. So coal units that you can control, you can take them on, take them off, ramp them up and down. Same thing with natural gas units. You can actually control those. So when that power spikes, you're actually controlling that output. And the problem with wind and solar is it's just, not only is it intermittent, but it's also very unpredictable. The wind more so than the solar, which right now we have a penetration, solar penetration in the state of about 7%. And on wind, we're over 30% right now.
Could we use that coal plant down at Bryan again, fire it back up?
No, it is actually being demoed right now as we speak. They're getting ready to implode the big scrubber stack that clean the emissions up so that we can meet the permit. So yeah, it's in the process of being dismantled. And we sold it a couple of years back. But
If we had
again,
coal generation though, you said it's easy to fire up, is that not being a solution?
it could be were it not for the cost of operating. Yeah.
How would you use coal as kind of a
Yeah, the problem is that these resources, the wind and solar, have suppressed prices as well. So your cost recovery on building a coal plant at this point, plus the environmental regulations, the permitting that's required for them, it's just not cost effective at this point.
You might tell them also the coal, all the coal that they use in this part of the country, the BTUs in it wasn't as strong. And that's why they started bringing everything out of Wyoming, because, you know, they had such high BTU coal out there.
Right.
I know they quit digging coal down there at Gibbons Creek for a long time ago, and brought the Wyoming coal up north. I don't know if you were involved in that.
Right. No, I was not involved in that, but what he's referring to is that a lot of the coal plants that in Texas were built in areas that were rich in lignite, and lignite is not a very efficient source of fuel for generation. And so what they ended up doing over time, including Greenville and their partnership with Texas Municipal Power Agency for our coal plant, was sign contracts with Powder River Basin, for Powder River Basin coal out of Wyoming. And so the coal was being shipped to the plant, and those contracts, the costs just continued to escalate year over year, especially as large coal plants started to retire. They needed to keep the mines operating at the same operational cost, and so they just passed that cost on to the remaining customers. Quite a challenging situation to get that coal to the plant. On the regulatory side, beyond the Public Utilities Commission, we also are regulated by, well, broadly by FERC, and that usually rolls down to, which is the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, which is not enough, so they added the National Energy Regulatory Corporation, which I still am trying to get my mind around. Texas Reliability Entity, which is an enforcement division for NERC and ERCOT. And everyone knows who ERCOT is now. I used to say ERCOT, people would say, what are you talking about? Now you say ERCOT and everybody's like, what's going on? So anyway, it's definitely a changing landscape right now. We're gonna continue to work as hard as we can to make sure that the right decisions are made for this community. We may not always win the battle, but we're gonna step up and we're gonna raise our voice and we're gonna fight for what's right for Greenville.
Alicia, I'm sorry, I gotta cut you off, and I hate
Okay.
doing that to
No,
you.
no.
Yes, I hate, how long have, no, you're my friend, how long have you been with GEUS?
I've been with you since 2013.
Okay, well, I wanna compliment y'all, because we were only off 30 minutes and on for an hour and a half, and we could time our meals, time doing laundry, so I really compliment GEUS on what they did through the snow together. Thank you for being together. Wait, I have something for you. Because So you're also a people of action, so when you wear this, I hope you think of the Rotary and its service of us. Thank you very much for being our program. Thank you. I know we're in a hurry and everybody needs to leave, but on your tables were little cards about the four-way test. You flip it over and it talks about the object of Rotary. When we're cleaning out, we found this beautiful big one that's about the object of Rotary. The object of Rotary, and so hopefully that we'll get this hung up with some other plaques and some other things that we found in our history. It's kind of amazing how much stuff in history is really in this building just for the few years that we've actually have been here. So feel free to take this card if you want it. They're on your table. Don't forget to please bust your own stuff and put it in the trash. David Weiland is the leader of the cleanup. Rich is here. Steve Pickens is here. Kim Quimby and Annette and David, y'all are cleanup. Next week, Josue and Kami, y'all are greeters. I hope y'all can be here. If you can't, ask someone to do it for you.
Josue, can you do that?
And I think I'm done. I might have had something else today, but these volunteer sheets, you guys, feel free to take them. I'll send out an email and I'm going to attach one so everybody can save one to file and you can kind of keep up with your own volunteer hours. Volunteer hours are anything you do in the community. I don't care if it's your church. I almost don't even care if it's a honeydew job. I don't care what you do. I don't care if you talk to Wally with fish for an hour. That is volunteer and service work of some kind. Come work on this building, and that's definitely service. That's definitely service work. So I'll send one of these out. Feel free to take one. There are some blank ones back there if you don't do so well on email. And bring these to me every week. We have to have excessive volunteer hours because I overextended y'all. So thank y'all again, and you guys, that is Rotary for today.